All right, we've made it to section 4, organization and management. So what will we cover in this section? This section of a business plan outlines how your business is structured and who's responsible for operating it. We'll have a little bit of legal structure in here because we'll want to outline if anybody is a partner, an equity holder, or has any sort of legal or financial tie to the startup of this business. We'll also want to highlight their roles, responsibilities, qualifications, and strengths. And we'll want to highlight the expertise that this demonstrates so that anybody reading your business plan knows how this organizational setup is designed to help your business be a success. You might be a sole proprietor, so this might be your statement. As the owner, I'll handle the day-to-day operations and oversee the budget. If you don't have titles mapped out right now, don't worry about that. I've got some tips a little bit later in this video. We'll want to know the main tasks for each role you envision for your business. If you don't have titles yet, that's okay. Assign the tasks, and then we'll put a title with that later. And how does each role benefit the business? I've got a few examples down here to stir up some ideas. Customer service, janitorial, building maintenance, administrative or accounting, marketing, and then who's the secret sauce? Who is making the product or giving the service that builds the revenue for your business? So again, if you're a sole proprietor, it might be a statement like, right now it's just me, but I plan to hire a part-time assistant and a manager in the first year. That's important because that shows a growth plan for the business. So building on the prior information in the company description and in the market analysis, we now know who your customer is and how much demand is in your market. So how do we translate that into how many people it's going to take on your team to serve the demand and the product that you're making or service you're delivering? And how will you know it's the right time to add another team member? That's really important for your financial projections because it has to financially make sense, but also keep up with the rate of growth for your business. How long will you personally do most of the operations management for the business? If you already have an exit plan in mind, we should list that down. And we should also list any plans to have you less being the sole provider for this service at your business. And have you developed an org chart? And if you haven't, I can help you do that if you're a client of mine. In this section, we're going to want to talk about qualifications and strengths for your business. First, let's start with qualifications. Are there any licenses, degrees, credentials, or certifications needed to work in your industry or within a particular role on your team? Is there a level of experience needed to work in particular roles on your team? For example, some industries require an apprenticeship to work into a full role. Does yours require that? Highlight any founding team members and how they fulfill the qualifications and experience needed to be able to function in the role to serve the customer that you intend to serve. And again, have those founding team member resumes prepared. Anybody you plan to list by name in your business plan, you'll want a full resume to accompany that. Then there's strengths. Aside from the degrees and licenses and credentials, you should brag a little about the strengths that are on your team. This might mean outstanding customer service, awards won in your industry, influencer status, a certain level of creativity, or it could just be a really well-networked person in the community that already has a strong reputation for what they do. So let's give you some tips for building that org chart and assigning titles. Keep it simple. That's the most important thing. As you launch your business, you'll have staff meetings. It's important you're able to explain these roles, what they do, who's responsible for what in your company, and naturally employees will ask you if there's an opportunity for promotion. So it's important you have very clear, simple answers to that as you get started, as it's highly likely you redesign that as you get your business launched and learn more about your business during its growth. So here's some examples of simple job titles: CSR, a lead, a shift lead, a supervisor, a manager, and an executive or an owner. So what falls into those general categories? Generally, for a small business, executive level is considered the owners, or if you have a founding manager, that might fall into that level. There's management. These folks are responsible for other people on your team, managers, supervisors, department leads. Service specialists might not necessarily have a particular management structure within your business, but they might have a very important role, such as a technician, a baker, photographer, a chef, veterinarian. There's also entry-level roles, and those would be considered assistants, customer service reps, administrative folks, janitorial. And you don't necessarily need to list this last one in a business plan, but this is your kind of part-time support, interns, volunteers. Volunteers may be listed for more of a community involvement than anything, and don't necessarily need to be listed in your org chart. So once you have all this information, if you're working with me, go ahead and get that over to me. Remember, keep your writing style casual. You can have bullet points, notes, whatever works for you so that we can put together your business plan. And next up in the business planning process will be products and services. Again, don't forget you have support. Clarity Group is there for the journey. It's okay to have lots of ideas and questions throughout this process. And if you need help, do not suffer in silence. Please reach out. If you are not a client and would like to be, smallbusiness-dreams.com, reach out to me there, or at claire@claritygroup.llc.com.